Welcome, folks, once again to the WrestleCord News Break. I'm your host, Ryan. It's May 14th, 2026, and let's get into some of the headlines in the world of pro wrestling and MMA. AEW Dynamite was live last night from Asheville, North Carolina. The night was capped off with a big main event, seeing the Don Callis family member and current NJPW World Television Champion Konosuke Takeshita challenge for Darby Allin's AEW World Championship. This was Darby's fifth defense of the title since winning it only 4 weeks ago. The former IWGP Heavyweight Champion was a truly monumental task for Darby, but this was another mountain that Allin was able to summit. After a grueling title defense that left both challenger and champion bloody, Darby had 2 coffin drops to get the pin and hold on to his gold. Opening the show was a big 10-man tag match that saw FTR, Tommaso Ciampa, and the Dogs take on Cope and Cage, the Young Bucks, and Orange Cassidy. This was a chaotic match with more action than a hooker on Main Street, but in the end, it was Clark Connors becoming the victim of triple super kicks, the Orange Punch, and a spear from Edge, who covered for the win. Last night was also the first week of the TNT Title Open Challenge, where the champion, Kevin Knight, would take on any challenger. The inaugural challenge would be a returning Brian Cage. Brian Cage hadn't been seen on AEW television since March 19th, 2025, when he battled in 6-man action alongside Cal's family members Lance Archer and Konosuke Takeshita. This was an exciting bout of speed versus power. Despite getting thrown pillar to post, Kevin was able to counter a middle rope powerbomb into a Hurricane Rana and follow up with a UFO splash to snag the victory and keep his TNT belt. Prior to that big encounter, it was Knight's tag team partner, Speedball Mike Bailey, taking on BK Westbrook. Westbrook showcased his own speed and agility on par with Speedball's, but this wasn't enough, and it was the ultimate weapon that put Westbrook down for the 1, 2, 3. Later in the night, Death Rider Will Ospreay, got a hard-fought win over Bang Bang Gang's Ace Austin. The ace of the Bang Bang Gang put on a great show of athleticism, but it was Ospreay with a more grounded style picking up a submission victory with an armbar. In 6 women's tag action, we would have the toxic trio of the Triangle of Madness taken to the ring against the unlikely trio of the Brawling Birds and Hikaru Shida. Shida, Hayter, and Tekla will be 3 of the women involved in the 4-way title match at Double or Nothing. We got a preview of what to expect there in that championship showdown on pay-per-view. Shida at one point seemed like she was not going to take the tag from Hayter. This didn't happen to be the case, as Shida would play ball and put up a good fight with the Brawling Birds against the Triangle. This didn't sit too well with the Toxic Spider, who decided to take advantage of her championship status by smashing her title belt into Jamie Hayter's face, causing an immediate DQ. In the aftermath, Tekla would try to wear down Jamie before their title showdown, while Sky Blue beat down Alex Windsor. Hikaru Shida decided it was in her best interest to not get involved, leaving the Brawling Birds to fend for themselves against the Triangle of Madness. Paul Turner also tried to intervene, but took some miss to the face from Julia. Eventually, it was the assistance of Willow Nightingale, Thunder Rosa, and Mina Shirakawa to get the Birds out of trouble. Closing out the show, after the big Darby win over Takeshita, we had a bloody Darby Allin meeting MJF in the ring for an impromptu contract signing. MJF spent all night tormented with the idea of being a bald freak, even handing his own Dynamite ring over to Don Callis to get to Takeshita should the Alpha get into any trouble in his title bout. But when Konosuke was handed the ring, he refused to use it. With nothing left to do and no more bargaining chips on the table, MJF reluctantly signed the contract, putting his hair on the line before proceeding to brutalize an already beaten up Darby Allin. MJF would take Allin up to the middle rope for a tombstone, the same one that almost ended the career of Daniel Garcia. Luckily for the world champion, Kevin Knight made it to the ring just in time to save Darby's spinal cord. MJF would retreat from the TNT champion as Dynamite left the airwaves. In WWE news, a cryptic message leads to backstage speculation on the status of current WWE star Dragon Lee. How come he got to keep his name and Kenta had to become Hideo Itami? I wonder what Hideo came up with that one. Nonetheless, the social media post by the former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Lee read simply 2 to 3 weeks, suggesting that Dragon Lee may have been out due to injury. The last time we saw Lee in the ring was during WrestleMania 42 weekend in the big Intercontinental title ladder match, which saw Penta retaining the strap. If Lee is indeed injured, there is one reporter here who hopes to see him back in action post-haste. It seems a few AEW contracts are expiring soon, according to recent reports. Some of those names being bandied about are Anna Jay, Lance Archer, and Big Bill. Big Bill has been seen most recently in Ring of Honor teaming with paid-in-full partner Brian Keith. Over the past year, we've seen very little of Anna Jay on television. However, her partner Jungle Jack Perry has been quite active recently, losing the national title to Mark Davis on Fairway to Hell just last Saturday. Lance Archer, who has made recent appearances with the Don Callis family cohorts, seldomly is seen actually wrestling for the All Elite promotion. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for these 3 stars. Adam Copeland recently spoke with Sportsocracy about his career winding down. The former Edge has already spoken about wanting to retire at the age of 53, which he'll be turning in October. When speaking to Sportsocracy, he said of his retirement plans, "It's not an official clock, but it's winding down. I don't think I would want to be that heavily involved, like a Triple H, if I couldn't still do it as well. Although, who knows, I really feel like in coming back after my forced retirement and getting this last 6 years back really kind of helped me get the stuff out of the basement that I didn't get out the first time because I didn't know my retirement was coming. So this time I have that knowledge, and maybe because of that, it'll be different. And because, I'm not being forced to retire at 37 now. It's like I'll be 53, or, maybe just touching 54 by the time I retire. So there's a reality with that. It's like, okay, well, this just ain't possible at a certain point, It's a really hard job. Adam Edge Copeland has a very storied career in wrestling, thus far holding several world titles in WWE, as well as being a TNT champion in his current home of AEW. In quick Ring of Honor results from this past Tuesday, we had the team of Jordan Oliver and Alex Price defeat Spanish Announce Project, Angelico, and Serpentico. Also, Lance Archer got a win over Trip Jordy. ROH Women's Pure Champion Deonna Purrazzo beat Haven Harris in a Proving Ground match. Evil Uno got a win over Vaughn Vertigo. Satnam Singh beat out both Nick Ruiz and Dave Deltra in a handicap match. And Jay Lethal, Blake Christian, Lee Johnson, Nick Wayne, and Kip Sabian defeated Michael Oko, Mystico, AR Fox, Mascara Dorada, and El Phantasmo. Tonight is Impact on AMC. We're going to hear from the new Knockouts champion, Lei Yang Lee. Also, we'll get a Sacktown street fight with Casey Navarro versus AJ Francis. Last week, Ray announced that Mike Santana's next challenge will come by way of a big battle royal for #1 contendership. The women take to the ring when Rosemary teams with Allie to battle Victoria Crawford and Mila Moore. In a match 2 weeks in the making, Cedric Alexander challenges Leon Slater for the X Division title in a 2-out-of-3 falls match. I'm sure we'll get that and much more action on tonight's Impact on AMC. With that, folks, we close out today's WrestleCord news break. I'm Ryan, signing off, hoping to see you all again tomorrow.